games. Alright, so welcome everyone to Capoch's game over here in, I think, round 3. It is going to be an English pick for our blue player Capoch, and down south it's English as well for Mulfar in red. So, down go the French mirrors, and in comes the English mirrors.
Yeah, just when people were getting tired of mirrors, in comes the new mirror to take us through on the next round. So this round, is this a round of 2 or a second round rather matchup that is happening right now?
It's either round 2 or round 3, but one thing to highlight, and this is actually very important, Mulfar is rank 43 on the current AoE 4 leaderboard. Capoch is rank 8, but we know that the rankings are sort of flexible right now. So just based on that, it seems like the two players are somewhat evenly matched. I think Capoch has the upper hand, especially because he's a very, very good English player. But Mulfar is also someone that's pretty experienced in the game and has good performances on the ladder so far.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. The fact that he's up that high is indicating to me that this is going to be quite a good match. I do love that we're seeing more English getting picked. As I mentioned in some of the earlier games, a lot of people are potentially seeing England as a France counterpick. So these players may have just gone into the game thinking that they're just going to play, English into French and be very happy with that matchup. But then both players, unfortunately, realizing, hold on a minute, it's a Spider-Man meme. They're pointing at each other like, wait a minute, you're English. And they're confused. But anyway, there's going to be a lot of longbows this game, I suspect. I'm very familiar with this matchup, and I wouldn't be surprised to see full longbows the entire game.
Yeah, it's gonna come down to longbow play. But when we're talking about longbows, we also have to highlight that as we are actually getting the information, this is actually a quarterfinal already. So this is round 4. We're quite deep into the tournament already. So, you see, both of these players are quite accomplished. As you said, longbow play is going to be the beginning of the game. But after that, I think it could come down to whoever starts mixing in either horsemen or men-at-arms. Because the English have access to men-at-arms in Feudal Age. So, that's actually a unit that could help tanking up arrow fire from the opponent. What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. One of the things to note is that against archers, that the men-at-arms are quite good. Against the longbows, it gets a little bit harder, just because longbows do have that extra 1 damage. And you might not think that 1 damage really sounds like a lot, but it's important to remember that when you're talking about the difference between, say, 2 effective damage or 1 effective damage coming through, that could be effectively a double damage bonus. So it's really big. But if this matchup does get through to the 3rd age, I would expect to see a lot of men-at-arms coming out from these players, because English men-at-arms are, in my opinion, the best men-at-arms in the game. The English have got access in their barracks to a special upgrade called Clad Armor, which is going to increase ranged and melee armor by +2. So this is a huge bonus that happens. So just as an example, if you get all the armor upgrades and you get Clad Armor, then you are going to be getting, I think it works out to be +4 armor on top of your already 4 armor. And we just see a whole bunch of gifted subs coming in right now from Hera. Hera gifting 50 tier 1 subs to EGC TV's community. Thank you very much, Hera. It is absolutely great to see from you, mate. I'm hoping that doesn't signify anything happening, but if you're watching at the moment, welcome. And I hope you're looking forward to watching this English mirror with us.
Council Hall coming in for both players. As you see, Mulfar is also moving out for berries early on, whereas that's going to be a little delayed for Capoch. So, normally Capoch mixes in quite a lot of spearmen when he's playing against the Russ or the French, when playing as the English, but in this matchup, obviously, it's just going to be longbow mirrors. And I think one of the interesting questions to debate here right now is, when do you start mixing in that blacksmith? Because that's a pretty big investment, and you're already kind of stretched out with your economy because you train longbows so fast that you need a lot of resource income to maintain that. So it's an interesting question when you make that blacksmith for the attack upgrade.
Yeah, I agree completely. It's definitely one of those things where it's like, one of the issues is that you need to maintain that large presence on the field of longbows, and at the same time you can't compromise that. So I think there's definitely an optimal timing window, but already we see that blacksmith coming down, Mulfar answering our question and placing it down immediately. Now keep in mind, Mulfar is quite high ranked in the top, I think you said 40 at the moment. So a very decent position from him. So going to be looking to pick up these upgrades. And we actually see Capoch is going to be on the gold straight away. So even though Mulfar has invested into this, are we able to take it off income per minute, which for resources, and just check how many current resources he's on? It does look like he's gathered up 114 gold. Is he going to be able to afford an upgrade? Are we able to just quickly check those
It's
upgrades?
125. It's
oh, my
125.
Lord, this is terrible timing right there. So only 11 gold short of getting that upgrade that would enable him. So I think in this position, considering he is on the defense, he would want to go for +1 defense just to help out his villagers a little bit as well, so that they're taking 1 less damage. That is very painful. So Capoch doing incredibly well.
Yeah, this is the danger of going for the blacksmith upgrade, because you need to keep a villager on gold. And when you have such an exposed gold mine, it's just even more difficult, especially considering that the council halls on the other side. Looks like our red player Mulfar is housed right now, so his archer production is also delayed. And instead of the defense upgrade, now he's going for a campfire, because he can afford that with the gold he has.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And so now we're going to see sort of a bit of a window here for Mulfar. So I think the question is sort of if you would add cavalry in this game, would it actually be worth it? Now, obviously, the English don't have access to the knights. They're not like French. If you're playing as a French, obviously you would be opening knights. But in this situation, you know, it might feel like you want to go for that cavalry to try and counter your enemy's massive longbows. But it just ends up punishing you significantly. Longbows are very good at dealing with cavalry. And now we continue to see longbow v longbow trades happening. That little campfire beginning to build up as well for Capoch. And having a pretty decent time. We'll check back on Capoch's base. Has he got... what's he got going on back there? Are you able to check on his macro?
Nothing.
Anything in particular?
Nothing really special.
So not adding farms, just still continuing to trickle out more and more longbowmen. We can see he's got that campfire going and healing them up ever so slightly. Going to be trickling it up, 1 HP per second. But I think already from the start, Mulfar is in a difficult spot. Capoch really getting out this nice little lead.
This is how you burn down forests, by the way, making a campfire right next to the trees. It's a little confusing to look at all the glowing units, but it's a different type of glow here. Even if Mulfar is not healing his units. Because Mulfar is benefiting from the network of castles bonus, so he's got an attack rate boost, whereas Capoch's glow is purely from the campfire healing ability.
Yeah, we see some great little micro in there right now. So Capoch was having one of his front longbows focused down, and he pulled it back so that the enemy longbows would have to step forward, and then he would be able to fire on their lower HP ones. But now Capoch looking to move back. Do we see any more archery ranges added in at this point? I'd be curious to know exactly if players are looking to expand out to archery ranges. As I mentioned earlier, in this matchup, typically you're only going to see longbows in the second age. Both players probably going to stick to 1 TC for the majority of the early game as well.
Yeah, that's, I think, the key thing here. Although you could actually gamble on a second town center, because the thing is that longbows won't be able to do much with the town center's range, so the town center's here having a range of 8 and the longbows only having 6, or 7, excuse me. That means that technically longbows can't really do much against town centers here, especially if you have a couple of defensive towers as well. It's just a big investment problem.
Now we see more villagers going to be going down. Capoch doing a pretty decent job of just picking those up. So are we able to do a quick stock take and see how much of a lead he's managed to build up already at this point in the early game? 26 villagers and Capoch sitting on 32. So already a significant lead for Capoch.
I think part of that is also idle time on the town center of Mulfar. Remember, building that blacksmith is a high burden on your economy, and you see now Capoch will be forced back for a time being, but this is where you have to highlight that English is just a great defensive civilization, so the network of castles bonus will help Capoch defend this. I don't think that Mulfar can pick off villagers right now.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a difficult spot for him. He's going to push in. This is actually a pretty good spot for him to sit. If he falls back and if he realizes, so the council hall is going to produce units, and the way that it produces units is out through that little front door. You see it just down between those two peaks, and there's no way to control where those units pop out. They will always pop out at the front. And so now that he's got the bigger mass, Mulfar's able to just camp in this position and pick off any longbows that come out here, but it doesn't look like he's actually picked up on that. He can stay on that and nullify the entire council hall, basically preventing 2 archery ranges from producing. And during that time, he himself can begin to build up a significant archer deficit to his opponent. But now on the back line, we see more archers going to begin firing off. That campfire going to begin as well, doing plenty of healing there for his opponent. But it looks like there's actually a pretty good bonus here for Mulfar compared to his enemy.
Indeed, Capoch does have the attack upgrade now from his blacksmith, and he's got a second range helping out as well. So I think he will be able to hold this one for the time being.
Yeah, it does look... my main concern at the moment is that Capoch, what's he investing in behind this? We do see that there are farms up. He has put in another archery range. Farms around the mill, which is good. He does have that blacksmith. He's got +1 attack and +1 defense. Okay, good. Are we able to compare that over to Mulfar and see where he's at? So he is sitting on +1 attack, but he's getting +1 defense in at the moment. No farms up yet by the looks of it. So he's going to be doing a little bit better for the moment, but keep in mind he is behind on villagers. I really think if Mulfar had actually just sat on that council hall, he probably could have just won the game. Like, quite literally. That is a game-winning position. You've got to be so careful when you do spawn on these north sides of the map, especially with a building like the council hall in these matchups, because if these units just get continually taken out, the masses really begin to dwindle.
Big fight over here on the north. Right now, numbers advantage in the favor of Mulfar, pushing Capoch back quite a bit. But yeah, this is the thing here. The English can defend by just retreating to the influence radius of the TC. The problem for Capoch, if he does that, is that he's going to lose the perimeter of his base. And currently that seems to be the case, I think.
Yeah, his numbers are actually beginning to dwindle significantly. Ideally, what he should be doing is bringing a villager or two out here to build an outpost. That will also provide the network of castle bonus and extend it out. And that will really enable him to have that defensive ability back there.
Yeah, it's worth noting, by the way, that when we're talking about the longbow micro, we have to highlight that you have to set up camps with individual longbowmen. You can't just select all your longbows and press set up camp, because then you will have a countdown on all of them. But if you set up camp with an individual longbowman, you can just keep doing that and pretty much always have healing available.
Yeah, they've essentially got +1 heal even in battle, the longbows, and it's constantly up because, as you mentioned, they all have separate little cooldowns, but now picking up a couple of units as they reinforce, and it might be the difference in this matchup. Now we actually see both players setting up their respective camps. Capoch moving forward and setting up camp as he does it, focusing down a lot of these archers on the front line, doing a great job of splitting up his unit fire. More reinforcements coming in as well, but going to get picked up before they're able to regroup with these archers towards the north. And Capoch looking like he's in a strong position here. Numbers are quite even, and I do expect reinforcements are going to continue to trickle in from the south, but I don't know whether it's going to be enough to sway the battle and whether they're going to be here in time, because Capoch is looking very strong. His score is now beginning to burgeon significantly, and I'm curious to know exactly what the unit counts are for these players right now, Lidakor.
They're looking somewhat underwhelming here for Mulfar. He's at 45 population, 10 military, 35 vills, whereas Capoch has a 6 villagers lead and also 5 military lead.
All right. So the game is going to continue on. Capoch still maintaining that that lead that he's got on score. I'm curious to know exactly what's happening in the base of his enemy, Mulfar. I want to see if he's added any more archery ranges at this point, or whether he's still going double archery range. So let's take a look at that. Capoch has added 1 archery range.
There is indeed 2 production buildings worth right now for Capoch. There is also range now for our red player. Looks like everybody is still playing 1 TC.
All right. And doing a pretty decent job, I would say, at this point. Capoch is looking very happy with his position. He's obviously got that villager lead. He just needs to continue on the defensive now, but he's chasing away more of these longbows down towards the south of his base. We see that he preemptively put down the healing circle, or the campfire, fearful that the longbows may have actually shot at the archer as it was coming out of the council hall. So now going to potentially be picking up 5 or 6 archers in the middle here. Very nice find here for Capoch. And this is the kind of game-turning stuff. It might not seem like a lot, but it's important to remember that these archers, okay, they're not going to be in the next battle that happens, and as a result, he's going to be 6 archers short the entire time. 6 archers that are not going to be firing. Bit of a raid coming up towards the north as well. 9 longbows just looking for their chance to make a difference.
They need to make a difference here, because now if we look at this force moving in, this could cut the Mulfar off from gold. And as you mentioned before, as you can deny the unit production here on the council hall by picking off the units spawning, you can do the same thing here on this archer range if you're Capoch.
Now a tower going to be coming up as well for Capoch, just to defend this wood line here. And he's looking in a pretty decent spot. We see those archers in here as well, but he's got to be careful. The archer numbers are so low, I actually fear that the villagers could turn around and fire at them if they wanted to, and probably be able to one-shot all of those archers. Now, he may lose a couple of villagers when he does that, but he would clean it up completely. Villagers now going to be out onto the wood line, and Capoch in a decent spot.
He's in a very, very good spot right now. Currently, he's got a quite considerable army lead. It's 30-19.
Yeah, that is a very good lead for him, and more archers going to be coming out. Now, I remember earlier people joked about France mirrors and saying, oh, the knights counter the knights. Well, you joked too much, and now you got an English mirror, and we've got longbows versus longbows, so I hope you guys are enjoying the other mirror that happens. I'm curious to see whether we're going to spot any other mirrors throughout the tournament. I'd be curious to see like a Holy Roman Empire mirror where we might have like a Men-at-Arms mirror that comes out, or a Chinese mirror. I don't think we'd ever see a Chinese mirror. Could you imagine that, Lidakor?
No. Honestly, I don't even think that we're ever gonna see a Holy Roman Empire mirror because, you know, players are trying to win here.
Indeed they are, and that's why we're going to see so much English and so much French, just because of how good these two civs are looking at the moment. Still, this longbow battle begins, or is just sort of taking off. To be honest, I really don't know how to win this battle. Do you go for a second town center? Do you look for an age 3? In fact, I think you probably would look for an age 3. I think if you can go age 3 with the King's Palace, if you can manage to squeeze that in without dying, then I think you can be at a significant advantage. Get your +2 upgrades, get your veterancy upgrade, and overwhelm your enemy.
I also think that you can potentially do this with horsemen. Just having 5 horsemen, you just need to jump on the opponent's army once, and from that point on you can start snowballing the game.
I don't know if I feel the same about you with regard to horsemen, but we can have that conversation another day. Longbow's now going to be doing a nice little raid down towards the south, and this is a very concerning raid, because this is a game-ending raid. There are so many villagers that are out here right now, and it doesn't look like Mulfar has actually realized that the villagers are still dying. Take a look how many villages he's actually managing to take down. What's the villager count? Are we able to get a rundown as that happens? He's actually just realized right now. 33 villagers, 32 villagers, 31 villagers, 30 villagers.
It's going to be a long countdown. Oh, the sadness palings from our red player. Currently, we have 1 villager on wood for Mulfar and 6 on stone. Not what I would call an ideal eco balance in this situation. And there is another batch of longbows coming in on the left side. Oh my... No. Kids, look away. This is mature content.
There is a lot of mature content happening out right now because these longbows are doing absolute damage to him. And look at the way that they're coming around the back as well, making sure to avoid any kind of line of sight. They're going to get in here. What he wants to do, if he's playing extra smart, he walks right up to the face of the longbows and then fires, which is exactly what he's done. And the idea is that you want to prevent that attack warning going off and get those longbows up there as quickly as possible. And that's exactly what he's done, taking out more longbows. And it looks like a difficult position for Mulfar. He's got to be underwhelmed at this point, thinking, I'm down to how many villagers? 17 villagers, 18 villagers. And he actually calls the good game right there. Capoch goes through to the next round. As many